to break it up.
Super
Even
easy.
articles, break it up into subheadings and bullet points and things. Make it
And keep a
consumer-friendly, right?
conversational tone.
Yeah.
That journalists want it to be like you're talking to someone at a barbecue.
Nice.
And they, in fact, are told to write as if the audience is 9 years old. So really simple. Assume that they don't understand it. That looks beautiful, actually.
Yeah.
Assume that they won't understand it. Don't assume that they will. And that you don't. People worry that they're going to be patronising
I'm going to
people.
hold you just for a moment.
You want to tell us what
So,
it is?
what have we got here?
Grilled Australian peaches,
Yum.
Wow.
vanilla bean yogurt,
Thank you.
some organic cold pressed honey,
Right.
biscotti, which was from a local bakery up in Doncaster.
I can smell that.
Oh, it's really...
Raspberries and just a little bit of almond meal just on the side, just a bit of toasted almond meal for a little bit of
Yum.
crispiness.
Thank
It
you.
looks
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Enjoy.
It looks really
Thank
nice.
you. Sorry, Jules.
What was I saying? See, I've got the
I'm
memory of
sorry,
a gnat.
sorry.
Oh, about writing for a 9-year-old, like
Yes,
what sort of...
yes,
Yes,
Keep it
yes,
simple,
keep it simple because
Yeah.
don't feel that you're patronising people by making it too dumb for them. You can't really make something too dumb. So I would basically say almost all media, you keep things very, very simple, explain things in a way that a child could understand, unless you're going to an industry journal and you're going, you're in the computer industry and you're going to IT Weekly and talking to other people, then you can use your jargon. But really, otherwise, just assume nobody has an idea of what those acronyms mean, what that jargon is, and
Particularly
just
with
explain
acronyms,
everything.
like always write them out.
Always.
At least the first 2 times, ideally.
We used to do that in companies that I worked for because corporate companies have their own lingo and you can't use the lingo
No.
with it.
And this whole, while you want to be conversational, you need to spell those things
Yes.
out. You can't abbreviate, you can't, shorten or nickname kind of brands or aspects of the thing or whatever.
But it's
Then
not
they don't know
proposal
what you're
writing.
talking
It's
about.
not, therefore, forthwith, it's not any of that kind of
It's
writing.
conversational writing.
Yeah, you
Very
can start
easy.
with an and, you can put a but in the middle of it, you can do the way people speak as opposed to...
So the way I like to
As if
write
you're
is that
writing
it's
an
actually
essay.
ideally engaging through, again, we said the headline and the image, and that applies to the subject line of an email as much as to the article itself and so forth. And then that it's engaging, entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so sometimes I'd like to bring a little bit of play, pun, humor
Story.
in, and then it's informative.
Have
Just
fun
something
with
that,
it. Have fun
I
with
didn't know,
it.
because I want them to read on, right? And ultimately, that's the same with the article. So if I tell all and everything in the first paragraph, nobody's going to read it.
But
The rest, right?
But we've got to
We need
jump
to-
in there and go, you do have to get to the point very quickly.
Yeah.
So you really have to... I've actually... There's a great guy who works with The Age as one of the editors, who comes to my events, and he said to one of the business owners when they went, "Well, you're really going to read it, but what are you looking for?" And he said, "Right, I'm going to give you about 2 seconds on your subject line. If your subject line captures my attention, then I'm going to open it up and you've got about another 3 seconds, and I'm going to read the headline and the first line. If you've got my interest, then you get another 5 seconds, and I'm going to read another couple of paragraphs."
That's an
couple of
interesting way to
sentences.
write all your content, isn't it? No matter
Well, it's
where
like
it's
you
for,
have
who
to
it's for.
capture their attention quickly, or they're going to move on.
You had an interesting story you wanted to tell in regards to a headache story.
Oh, the Melbourne Headache Centre. All right, so this is the dream situation. In fact, I'm really talking about like you with your amputee story that went everywhere. But this is a guy who had a technique that gets rid of migraines. So pretty unusual, but also hard to explain in an ad. And he said to me, "I think I need to get PR," because of course the other benefit of PR is you get the opportunity to explain something. You don't have to try and keep it simple into 5 words or whatever. So anyway, he came to me and he said, I've just started. I've got a small practice. I really want to get the word out. I'm doing something that's really innovative. It's called the Watson technique, which is this... you learn a lot in PR about obscure things. So it's a way of manipulating your neck, and it actually has a 95% success rate.
Okay, we all need his number.
Oh yeah,
If you want
the
his
Melbourne
number, let me
Headache
know.
Clinic, amazing.
Okay.
Anyway, so Roger,
Such as
who
PR.
runs that, said to me, "Okay, I'm going to write a media release," and I helped him, and we wrote, and I said, "If you're going to do a release, people's eyes are going to glaze over if this is all about the technique. Let's tell a story. So have you got a customer or a client or whatever it's called in Physioland?" And he said, "Yes, I've had this woman who's been having migraines all her life, every week or more. All her life. When she came to me, she was like 28. She was beside herself. I did the technique. It completely went, and she hasn't had a migraine for 2 years." And I went, "She sounds like somebody would be happy for you to do a story on her." And he said, yeah. So he rang her. She said yes. So therefore, we had a story that we could tell. So we went to pitch it to the Herald Sun. We pitched it to Susie O'Brien, who's a contact of mine. Susie said, it's great, but it's not for me. So she then sold it into the editor for him. The guy said, yes, okay, it's all on. So they came in and did a shoot of him manipulating someone's head, did the story, and it was coming out on Tuesday in the Herald Sun. So what happens with newspapers, and I think it's something that a lot of people don't realise, is that newspapers really lead the radio and the TV news for the day. So they read those headlines at 2 o'clock in the morning when the newspaper first comes out.
Right.
They open it all up and they go, right, let's see who we can get hold of today to get an interview to be able to turn this into a bigger story. He was on page 3. 6 o'clock in the morning, then on the Tuesday morning, his phone started buzzing. And it was a text saying, hi, I'm the producer of 3AW. Can you please come on to explain our technique? Well, he was so green that he thought it was his mates taking the mickey, and he ignored it 3 times until the guy actually rang him. He said yes, and he rang me afterwards and he went, oh my God, I've just had like a 5-minute interview on 3AW. I'm still shaking, but I'm buzzing. And I was just so excited for him, and I said, well, just let's see what comes from this. So he gets into the office. Phone's ringing off the hook anyway because it's been in the paper and now the 3AW thing. And all of a sudden, every single one of the evening news rang him, all wanting to interview him and for him to demonstrate his technique. Lovely situation. He couldn't fit in the ABC and SBS, but he got all the others. Went on the news that night. As soon as the story finished, he started getting a hit on his website every minute for the next 3 hours.
That's fantastic.
It gave him 7 months worth of business in the first 2 days after that. He ended up having to get new offices, new staff, whatever. Now, that was one media release, and it was free. He just had to come up with a good enough story, and then it just runs. And that is the beauty of PR. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And on top of that, because he had so much exposure, Channel 9 keep going back to him. He's been on A Current Affair as the headache expert. You know, 3AW use him as the headache expert. He is now the go-to guy for the media when they're looking for someone to talk. So that is what can happen if you use the power of PR. And really, whether you do it yourself or somebody else does it for you, it is, I believe, something that every single business owner should be doing.
And that's like the big point, sorry,
right.
what we talked about earlier, about like not making it about yourself. Like, here's the story of a woman that suffered for 20 years and now
how
she
it
does
cured.
it, right? That's relatable. There's people out there suffering. If he says, I'm great at stopping headaches, it doesn't matter how long you had it, nobody would be interested.
No. And if he'd gone,
Right.
there is
And
a way
that's
of getting rid of headaches, and what you do is you manipulate the 15th vertebrae and you do whatever. Also, no one
Keep
would be
it
interested.
simple, keep
It's
it
the
simple.
human aspect of it that
Right,
people
and
want.
that's where you're talking about the storytelling rather than the product.
Yeah.
And it's about the story and
that's-
it's about them, the reader, right? Not me that I fix it or I'm great at fixing it. It's about this woman that's, you know.
It's about how can you help me? It's about, and I don't care that you have such and such, but how can you help me?
And that's why I really wanted to do this segment on PR and media, because, you know, we talk social media content all the time, but we don't really talk PR and media, and people don't know the difference as well. And I think I'm just going to put this on hold for one moment. We've got another drink coming from Monsieur Cocktail, and it
I
looks
get the
absolutely
perfect view of
amazing.
him making his cocktails there.
Oh, you can come and do that
Come and
here
do
if
it
you
so
want.
people know what you're up to.
All they can hear is the shaking. I don't know what's going on.
So, just shaking your drinks.
If you want to come over here so
And,
they can
and
see.
what are you shaking? What's in
So
there?
we're shaking the next experience for you guys, which is non-alcoholic tequila. We have a non-alcoholic Aperol.
A non-alcoholic
Tequila?
No,
So that's
I
one
know, right?
tequila, two tequila, three
Possible?
tequila still sitting here.
It's made locally, actually. It's an Australian company. They're doing very, very good
Spirits that are
non-alcoholic
That's
spirits.
amazing.
Basically, it is,
And it's got the right
very,
I'd
flavour.
love
very
to do
trendy.
PR for them.
That
This is
Negroni
crazy.
was
I can
beautiful.
put you in touch. They're very. It's in trend in 2020 as well. There's a lot of people who made choice to don't drink
Yeah.
alcohol.
But you don't want to like be the one. I'll just be the one on the lemon, lime, and bitters, right?
That's right. When you can
And you
have
still
an
want to
experience with
enjoy
your friend
the
at table,
experience
right?
of, like as you said, it's the experience of
Of
the
the
drink, the
flavours
cocktail,
and
the
that.
kind of thing.
It's tangy. It's
Ooh.
orangey. It's
I feel like I'm on an
Oh.
island somewhere.
Yeah,
that's it. We're about to
yeah,
go
we
there.
can feel the sand between the toes already.
Oh, yeah, well, speaking of that, just wait. There's sand coming up.
Oh wow!
Look at those little beach umbrellas.
I have photos of this that Max has already given me that I will put into the video to show you what it looks like, because it smells very tropical, but it looks absolutely amazing.
Gorgeous. Look at
And you know
this.
what? Talking about this is really perfect.
Look at
Talking
this.
about
I'm going to do it this way. No, I'm just going to do it this way so people
people can see
as well.
it.
Look.
It's got sand,
The
popcorn,
beach club.
shells. It's got.
Oh, I'm at the beach.
Oh my God!
It says the beach club over
It's
here.
Oh,
you
look,
can
it's got
see.
a little
Little
shovel
umbrella.
and everything.
It's got a little shovel.
You
It's
can make a
got
sandcastle.
It's got a starfish.
Oh, this is
So you
awesome.
have kinetic sand inside. It's an indoor sand. Feel free to grab it with your hand.
Cheers, guys.
Wow.
Touching element. It's part of the experience.
Oh, so you
Cheers.
can, you can knit it.
Cheers.
My son used to have it when he was fidgety at school, and the teacher said,
Cheers.
Ching.
"Have that." Cheers.
Cheers.
Lovely to be here. Thank you very much.
Ah,
My
it's an
pleasure.
indulgence.
Can you? That's like you
Wow,
wouldn't.
that's so
You wouldn't know that
punchy.
wasn't alcoholic.
No.
That's
You,
fantastic.
that actually
It's
tastes
really-
alcoholic.
Yeah.
So we work very hard on each cocktail to make it as close as the original. So
Sorry, they can see.
you can
Amazing.
actually taste a little bit of the tequila. The Aperol is actually coming through very nicely.
Is that non-alcoholic?
It is an alcoholic. I'm not tricking you, David.
No, it's like it's towards the end of the show. It's okay.
Yeah, I think
Very please open your eyes.
I'm telling you, this tastes like an alcoholic drink.
It's
Yeah, you would
amazing.
not know the
It's
difference,
Really
huh?
delicious.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Wow.
And then feel free to grab your popcorn on the side. That goes very well with the drink. That's going to add a bit of a buttery aftertaste
Oh,
in the
yum.
back of your palate. And of course, easy to have popcorn at any time. That's it.
Thank
Also,
you.
you
Look at
can
them.
enjoy
Look at
the
the ocean.
soundscape
Yeah,
of the
we've got
beach.
the ocean now.
You will listen a wave crashing on the beach and seagulls singing.
We've gone from the main part of Italy to the seaside of Italy, which is quite beautiful. This is really, really lovely.
With the blue and white striped umbrella and everything. I just wanted to, if I can quickly piggyback on, which another term in PR
Yeah, yeah.
that we should explore actually, but on what we just talked about, and that is where, sort of how the relevance and the timing and the, making it about the story is so relevant, and to understand what happens on the media side internally, like that,
Yes,
that
yeah,
big
yeah, yeah, go,
machine
yeah,
in between. So we're working with a client
Oh, there's more.
in Sydney at the moment, and they're like,
Oh, hang
Okay,
on.
guys,
Oh,
sorry.
Each packet, when you think it's finished, it's never finished. More than a drink, an experience. And here is the sea
Wow.
fog. If you grab the smoke, you actually smell like seaweed.
oh wow. Oh, that's fantastic.